Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this one I'm going to be looking at measuring the valve guides in the cylinder head. This is the left hand one and we'll get to that in a minute. Various different ways of doing it. But before I start, I wanted to talk to you about the oil pump. As you remember in previous episodes, that one that I bought, took a chance on eBay, and the guy had promised he'd take it back, which he did because it was rubbish. And this, as you know, is my one. As you can see, if you can look closely there, get the light right, there's kind of a bad score on the rear there, and I've had various people saying a couple of different things. A lot of people saying this would be fine, but because this is obviously the heart of the beast and extremely important, we've got to make sure this is running, otherwise the rest of the engine is kaput if it doesn't. So I actually ended up talking to Pierre for a brief period, and he talked about there was a technology, a nano coating that can be applied to something like this and then re-milled out, re-machined out. But to be honest with you, any searches I did, I came up zilch on that. Not that I looked really hard, but anyway. But to the rescue, Mark from the Mercedes Maintenance Group, bless him, he sent me one. I believe, Mark, you're in Belgium. He said that I think Mark deals in classic car parts and cars that have been in wrecks and things of that nature. And we've been chatting back and forth online, and he told me that he had a 6.3 and involved in an accident and that he may have one. And bless him, he sent me one, and it knocked socks off my old one. Let me take those gears out. As you can see inside the body, clean as a whistle inside there, so I'm happy as Larry. It's just perfect, it's beautiful, and I really appreciate it, Mark. I mean, that's gold, that is. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, along with everyone else helping. Really means a lot to me. So that's all done, and obviously we've got all the rest of the parts, the cover plate, the filter, and the pickup tube and all that, so that's awesome. Great, let's get back to the cylinder head and the various methods of measuring the valve guides. I have gone through and measured all of the valve stems, and they're all within spec, all in really good shape actually. I've cleaned the backs of them and cleaned all the carbon and rubbish off. Been very careful not to touch the running surface or the this 45 surface ready for lapping. I have started lapping, but I haven't finished yet because I thought I would do this video. So let me show you what we've been doing, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this is the left-hand side cylinder. As I said, these are the valves. Cleaned them up a little bit. In pretty good shape, actually. So, you know, I've seen a lot of people, videos and that of people inserting them. Let's put a little lubricant on. Just make sure that's lubed up. Okay, actually, let me raise this guy up a little bit because it's bottoming out on the bench here. All right, that's better. Lift it up a little bit. So we've got freedom there. So I've seen obviously some people just lifting them up and giving them a little wiggle. Now, this intake feels to me like it's got barely any play because it's not going to be much higher than that, is it? So, tiny little bit of play there. Okay. Let's have a look at the exhaust valve. Again, put a little lubricant on it. Bring it up. Yeah, the exhaust valve seems like it's got, to me, a little bit more play in it. But again, very subjective, I would say. Another way I've seen people doing it is putting your finger underneath, right, and plugging the guide, right, and listening for the pop sound, you know, that it's air rushing in, essentially, creating a vacuum. So I'm plugging the guide on the other side. You listen. Now that's pretty, I'd say that's pretty loud to me. So, let's try the exhaust. Again, that sounds maybe not quite as much, but again, doing all this work, you know, getting to this stage of the game, so to speak, got the heads on the bench, this is the time to really definitively tell whether the guides are worn, isn't it? So those two tests out of the way, I'm going to do the kind of more objective test, you know, measuring it basically. So what I've got, set a little split bore gauges, and I'm sure many of you know how these work. Essentially, there's a rod passed up through here. Let me make sure I'm focused here. There's a rod passed up through here, and then a turning knurled thing here for this threaded here, you see. And what that does, that pulls a wedge piece down between this split ball, okay, essentially widening it. And you're using that inside small diameter holes, goes down to this size, believe it or not, tiny little guy, look at that. Very inexpensive little tools really, but very simple. So you just insert them just like a feeler gauge, and then you crank it open until it just, you know, just like a feeler gauge, touching the bores of the valve guide, and then we can bring in a micrometer and measure the outside diameter there, and that will tell us what the inside diameter is, and we can compare it to the old service manual. And then we can get a final definitive answer whether these need replacing or not. With the other tests, I think the exhaust valve's a little bit more worn than the intake valve. Intake valve seems like it would be good with those few tests. But before we start, it makes sense to me to clean the guide, make sure both guides are clean, and run it through with a little brush here. Make sure all debris out of there. Looks very clean now. One more squirt. Now, select the appropriate bore gauge. I've already figured that out. Make sure that's clean. And insert it in this side round. And as I say, we're going to just open that guy up. And just so it's starting to drag, takes a little getting used to, you know, because you're gonna there's a very small adjustment until it rubs too hard, and you don't want to do that. You just want to, like a feeler gauge rub, you know. I think that is good. So now we're going to get our micrometer and measure the outside of this split bore gauge. So conveniently, there's a little hole in this head where I can just place the bore gauge and hold it while I mic it, and using the outer ratchet here for tension, you know. That looks like, let's see, 9.03. By the looks of it, 9.03 mil. So let's go and have a look at the book. 9.03. Okay, so here's the book. We're at the 6.3 valve guides. Valve guide, inside diameter, inlet. Okay, so we should be at 9 mil, 9.015. So we're a little big, aren't we? So this is beyond tolerance. So we're at 9.03. So yeah, see, so it looks like that valve guide is just slightly beyond tolerance there. And one other thing on this scale here, let me know, what does the overlap mean? Plus 0.012. What is the overlap? I'd love to hear from you guys what that means, okay? Because some of this terminology I get a little lost on. So yeah, it looks like we're a little beyond the tolerance of the inside diameter of the inlet, and I'm expecting the exhaust will be probably worse, because this is supposed to be 12.018 inside diameter, 12 to 12.018. So let's have a look. Need the next size up for the exhaust valve. Make sure that's nice and clean. pretty good there. Trying to go right in the center there, keeping it as straight up and down as possible, and just getting that slight drag there. So as I say, let's see what this guy is. Open that up to around 12ish. So that's 12 right there. Put that guy in there. That's just fractionally over 12 by the looks of it. Yeah, we're almost bang on 12 on that one. So in actual fact I was wrong. The exhaust valves do this a few times, a little fiddly doing this. That's bang on 12, that is. Let me know what you think, you guys. This exhaust valve actually was better than what I was expecting. I thought it was a little worse than the inlet. Sounds like the inlet is just fractionally over at 9.03. Yeah, this inlet one does seem to be over specs. This is 9.044, you can see there. 9.044 and the tolerance is 9.012, so oops, 9.044, yeah. Let me do, so it does seem like the inlet's a little over spec here, you know, out of spec. Let me just, little dab of oil so it's smooth. And exhaust one now. Going up to the 12 mil mark. .009. Okay, so we've got 12.009 on the exhaust valve. Let me just check that. Right, it seems to be that the exhaust valves are within spec and the inlet valves just very slightly out of spec. I'm going to run through measuring all of these, and then I'll be interested to see what you say in the comments that I'm making sure that I'm doing everything correctly here. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little measurement exercise here. As I say, please feel free to get back to me, see if I missed anything. I'm going to measured all of the I'm going to be measuring all of the valve guides, make sure we're in parameters, and then I'll be reading your comments in the next upcoming videos. Jumping back onto the welding again. The videos have been a little bit spaced recently because after Christmas I've been absolutely swamped with two cars here that are not Mercedes, VW and BMW, and we've had a lot of rain here in California and they have leaked like sieves. The BMW is full of water, so I've been working on that car, fixing seals in the doors and all that. My wife's, I've been doing intake manifolds, I've got to fix a leak in that. So along with the Mercedes, I do have to upkeep all the other cars here, maintain my work van, and to be honest with you, my two running Mercedes, I don't do it, I just put gas in them, check the oil, change the oil regularly, and they're good to go. They never give me any problems, literally. So that's a good thing. But I've got a video coming up that I'm working on editing. I've got my scrap 108 at the back there. I've removed the rear quarter panel, and I'll talk to you all about my process, and we'll have a good old look at the structure underneath that, because I think you'll find it interesting. If anyone's doing some fabrication or welding in those areas, it's good to sort of visually see where everything comes in and is connected, you know, and figuring out where to make your breaks. And that will help me move on repairing the inner wheel arch of the rear right of the car, and then filling in, putting the whole panel on, getting that all tidied up so we're all done on that passenger side. Then we can spin that car around and get our teeth into the big repair. I say big repair, you would have thought I'm in the big repair, but no, it's a big repair on the driver's side, which I'm itching to get to actually. And got a lot of ideas how I'm going to approach that, but that'll be a fun set of videos. Plus, coming up, I want to take you down to the wood shop, and we're going to obviously be doing things like the wood for the car, refinishing. I've got a console project that I'm working on for my buddy's 280 SL Pagoda. He wants a center console, similar to the one I built in my 280 SE, which I haven't showed you yet. We're going to do vacuum bagging and veneering. And then I'm going to go into a whole finishing series. Obviously by trade I'm a finisher, antique restorer, and so I've got a lot to share as far as finishing processes, and try and keep it simple, not overcomplicate matters. Also, all the projects going on down the shop, from painting, I'm going to start epoxy primer in the doors, the hood, the trunk lid, all that sort of stuff. Start moving along with those kind of details. And painting. I've got actually a bunch of parts at my buddy's Eric's, who's doing some sandblasting for me, and we're having some parts powder coated. You know, that big air filter housing in the engine bay, I'm having that powder coated. I thought, why not see what that comes up like. And we've got the SL project that we're still working on, waiting for the dials to come back from Stone Belvin. We had to send them back. There was a little issue with one of the lights, but that's not a big deal. Stone's going to take care of that for me. Thank you, Stone. And what else we got to do? We've got the sound deadening on the hood. We've got tons to do, so there's loads of videos coming, but the spacing's got a little bit thin lately, just purely because I've been busy with other people's cars. But I'm getting back there. I'm really enthused to get my teeth in and get this project really moving along this year. Trust me, it ain't going to be finished this year, there's no way. But I've got, you know, I've got targets that I want to meet before at each stage, you know, to move things along. But I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. It's all got to be done right. That's the main thing. I'm not in a race here. We just got to do it step by step. Getting a lot of wonderful feedback from you guys, and a lot of encouragement, and a lot of enthusiasm, which is awesome. And as far as the engine, pistons are on their way, and I'm going to do an unboxing video of these pistons, which would be kind of fun, and go through all the details of ordering and all that business. Wasn't a big deal really, it was actually pretty easy. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate you watching. Please hit like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next one. All right, take care, guys. Bye bye.